guys, it's Sign Duo here, and we got an interesting question from Copa Atfa. She asked us, how do we understand each other even though we don't directly look at each other's signing? No, Java, it's okay. Hey guys, so I was editing the video and guess what? The start of the video is missing. I don't know what happened to the file. The simple answer is that I understand your signs because I can see them in the peripheral vision. But a more complex answer is that there's more to understanding for us to understand each other than just sign language. Okay. When we first met, I knew zero sign language, so we really relied on writing, yes, but when it was like face to, in-person communication, I felt like I really relied on eye contact and body language more than sign language. So I had to kind of learn your tendencies and how your kind of vocabulary, like what you really meant with your facial expressions, your body language, and kind of learn that language first. And then sign language really helped to like clarify and have more complex conversations. But that initial way of communicating, body language, facial expressions, that really lasted through our relationship, and we've been using it in combination with sign language. Another thing is reading lips too. Yeah, you kind of just learn that person's habits and tendencies. I think it's just there's a lot of different ways of communicating, and just signing is not the only one, and everyone's different on how much they use different ways of communicating. A lot of people think learning sign language means learning signs, and yes, that's a big part of it, but another part a lot of hearing people forget, and I've experienced that people just are so focused on the signs, they forget about eye contact, they forget to learn body language. It just reminds me of what we like argued about before. So I was I forgot it was early morning, and Ryan, we were about to go to, I was asleep and Ryan was up, and you were making some noise, and you woke me up, and I woke up like this. I was like, what are you doing? Can you turn off the light? But to me, my tone of voice was very like, hey, can you turn off the light? You know, please. But my facial expression was very angry because I just woke up. So he thought I was yelling at him, and then he was like, why are you getting so mad? I'm like, I'm not mad. Yeah, no. Yeah. So facial expression is super important. And we can understand each other, even though we don't directly look at our signs. Why? Because we have so much practice. I understand the way he communicates. He understands the way I communicate. And we also change the way ourselves communicate to make it more likely, what's the sign? Likely? More probable? Oh, yeah. More probable that you'll understand me, and vice versa too. Oh. Before, when we, like the early time we were dating, I learned how you signed, and I thought, I understand sign language. I know ASL, I could become an interpreter. But I had an experience that really just humbled me, and just, you know, I had to step back and think about it. If you guys want to know what that experience was, give this video a like, and I will make that video later, and I'll explain what happened. So I guess we can kind of read each other's minds. And we met when we were young too, so we were still learning, and you know, young minds are easy to like absorb information. So it was like a natural process for us to learn to communicate. Yeah, and I think that's important for any of you guys wanting to learn sign language. Remember, it's not always about the signs themselves. It's about communicating and trying to, you know, work with that person you're trying to communicate with, and see if anyway, body language, reading lips, eye contact, facial expressions, and sign language too. So just remember that. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you're not subscribed, don't forget to subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Love you. Bye. You deserve to go to the dog park. She is a strange dog. She actually sleeps in until 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock, so she's still tired. Yeah.